On the 27th of September 2012, Tailwords released a video titled Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord Announcement Teaser. Little did we know this tease would go on for literally 8 years. At this point in the relationship, we didn't know it would be abusive, but in hindsight, we should have walked away, kids. This release, though, was massive. I remember when I was sent this video, I was only just getting into Mountain Blade Warband, and as a kid about to turn 13 years of age, I had sunk so much time into the Napoleonic Wars DLC, and there was going to be a sequel. Wow. Maybe I could actually play that in the next couple of years or so. Who knows? In 3 years' time, I might even start a YouTube channel about it. But at least we're going to get a release date pretty soon, right? I know they said it was only a teaser, but Jesus Christ, was it just a teaser? Apart from a couple of blogs on their website, which I can no longer access due to the Wayback Machine hating Tailwords, there was really nothing on Bannerlord. No mention of features, no mention of changes from Warband, and especially no mention of a release date. But hey, maybe we'll get that bit soon. It took until November of 2013, over a year after the initial announcement teaser, to get the first official Bannerlord blog. It was your typical introduction to developer blogs, talking about the team that are working on it, the basics of the new meshes and textures, and a few new screenshots. It was actually the origin of this very famous screenshot comparing Warband to Bannerlord and its new character details that they're able to implement in the game. Now, of course, I'm not going to spend the whole video going over every single developer blog and what was in them, because there's too many of them. But in Developer Blog 3, we get our first real look at the UI system that was in place at the time. Yes, it's basic, but as you can see, it's incredibly similar to what we have now to play with, more so than I really imagined. The tabs above the character giving options to look at armor, weapons, goods, and so on, and the basic trading screens and inventory that is now in the current game. It looks like this was the basic UI that they settled on early in development and just tweaks it a little bit, but really kept that core look and mechanics all the same. Then, on the 11th of January 2014, we got our first mention of Siege gameplay on its way. And in typical Tailwords fashion, that Siege gameplay would not actually release until over 2 years later, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Hey, at least we might get a release date soon, right? Then, in August of 2014, and with Developer Blog 7, it was time for the first real hint at the factions that we'd be playing with. Specifically here, the Empire, speaking of the inspiration from the decline of Rome and how it would be played out in Caradia, using this fictional civilization to really recreate what happened. The split of the Empire into different groups, fighting and warring against each other, but also against the so-called barbarians. And then it came, the first bit of actual gameplay and video from Tailwords regarding their upcoming game. Devblog 8 showed us the new engine that they had created to give them greater flexibility and the opportunity to give all these engine tools to mod developers in the future. The narrator, Frank Elliott, may his legacy reign, told us that the map editor would be up to 225 kilometers squared in size, and I'm going to have to test that myself currently with the map editor that we have, but once we get mods like Persistent World, where it's made into this open world game, we have a map that can literally be the size of Chernarus. You know, the map from Daisy Standalone and Armor 2. The one that takes like an hour to walk across, that's the same size. It's quite good looking back and seeing all the map editor as it once was and comparing it to now. The similarities are all there. I'm sure the ease of use has been improved for the regular person now, but all in all, the tools that were shown back in 2014 are the same tools that we got in 2020. And boy, I really couldn't wait at the time. Maybe I wouldn't have to wait that long. Maybe a release date would be coming soon. I can sense it. 2014, this would be the year. But rolls around the 11th of August of 2015, and we actually got our first bit of proper gameplay. The characters and some of the basic siege weaponries that we can expect from the future game. And just as a side note, it seems there was actually a time traveler in the comments, as 5 years ago Tiago posted, "Yeah, it's looking good. Can't wait to play that in 2020. How did he know? I digress. The video was the first time that we really got any context for the game that would be coming. The sieges looked great, battering rams, onagers, siege towers, yeah. It was kind of small scale compared to what we get now, but at least it was something. I know, this kind of sounds like the words of Stockholm Syndrome, but we also get a first look at the weapon crafting, which is somewhat in the game at the moment. Yes, warts and all granted, but it's still usable. And of course, that replay feature. The replay feature that isn't in the game. It's still not there, Tailwords. That's the one bit that I actually wanted, and you've not put it in the game yet. Why are you doing this? But on the bright side, at least we might be getting a release date soon, hey? It's 2015. Yeah? E3 2016 rolls around, and I'm not sure what we were expecting, but it sure wasn't what we got. A full siege and campaign section of gameplay showing off everything the team had been working on over the past few years. And 4 years after its initial announcement, it looked like the time had almost come. Destructible wars on castles, massive battles larger than anything we've seen before, in-depth troop commanding and AI lords to delegate orders to, blood splatters, new animations, new textures, arrows bouncing off walls, and a load more subs for the Resonant channel. Boy, 2016 E3 was insane. And then the news drops. Armagon, the co-founder of Tailworld, said that hopefully we'll get it into the players' hands in the next year or so. Not a full release, but in some form or another. Maybe a beta, maybe an alpha, maybe early access. And that was it. The lid blew off. Release date confirmed videos coming from every which way. Okay, I'm sorry about them, but I was kind of excited. And the community went wild. This was it. The release date was coming and we could play it in 2017. Finally it's happening! Hello? Hello? Hey, world. Are you there? 2017 rolls around. Nothing. E3 shows off some Sergeant gameplay and the game looks incredible, granted, but it looks almost finished, right? You're about to announce a surprise drop right now. It's about to be released right 2017. You said 2017. 2018. Nothing. Just more gameplay and more teasing. But really just radio silence. 1 year later, on the 20th of August 2019, Tailwords released a video on their YouTube channel. The title, Early Access Announcement. We made it, Father. I had survived. Yes, I know at the time I was only 19 years old, but I didn't think I would live to the day when we'd actually get a release date. In all seriousness though, I remember seeing that video notification come up, seeing a thumbnail and sitting on the edge of my seat for the whole video, just waiting. And when March 2020 came up on the screen, letting out a massive cheer as the time had finally come. Yes, there was some skepticism about early access, but as I mentioned with Stockholm Syndrome earlier, I think people were just happy that they'd actually know the game existed, that we could actually play a game that was announced 8 years ago. Then for the next 7 months, it was hype. So much hype. The build-up was incredible. Dev blogs constantly releasing. People buzzing and preparing for what they wanted to do as soon as the game released. Mod devs preparing their assets that they'd been working on for years, ready to put it into the game and bring their visions to life. In March, as they promised, during a worldwide pandemic, Tailwords released Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord into early access to astronomical success. The 4th most played game on Steam for weeks, the biggest release of the year, and hundreds of thousands of gamers coming together to experience what they'd been working so hard on. Some panned it for bugs and lack of content. Some, I think, unfairly judged it as a full game release, even though it still had that early access sticker on it, but most of us loved it. I think for one, the single player did everything I really wanted a sequel to Warband to do. Similar, but better. The graphics, when pushed to the highest settings, look fantastic, and the slow but sure trickle of mods only enhance every battle, every siege and adventure that you go through. But what's to come of the future? As far as I know, Tailwords stated that they want to try and release the full game a year after its early access launch, which actually isn't too far away from now, but I guess we're going to have to wait for any official announcements. With it, hopefully greater modding tools, multiplayer servers, and a big drawback to the people that really just put the game down for a while after the early access release. I think Bannerlord really has a bright future with modding and its community events, even more so maybe than Warband had, and I can't wait to be a part of it. Not just as a YouTuber, but also a 21-year-old kid that loves medieval games. But I guess only time will tell. But what is next in the evolution of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord?